Alright, week 6 of spring animes. The stories keep going. Really enjoying the season so far, just like a lot of cool shows. I actually started watching Odd Taxi and some of these romance shows. The one with the high school girl getting picked up by the guy who shaved. And then the one where all the girls are basically this dude's childhood friend and they'll never lose. Okay, so for Odd Taxi, episodes 1 to 6. Yeah, I was kind of avoiding the show just because of the whole animal theme. I was like, oh, I'm tired of getting another animal show. We already have Beastars, we had Zootopia, we had BNA, but I finally gave it a chance. It's honestly like pretty unique, pretty different, and like the animal theme doesn't really play a part in the show either. And it follows this taxi driver, just like doing mundane stuff, living life. Not really a slice of life because it follows like a mystery where we see bits and pieces of people's stories. And then everyone seems to be just like a human being living their life in this world, except like they're all animal themed. So the story just feels like people doing their real life stuff, like jobs, problems, relationships. And then the fantasy element is just that everyone just looks like an animal. And then it follows a mystery where we follow this main character, Odokawa, who's this walrus taxi driver. And then he just kind of drives some people, and then the people get linked to other people. And then it's like everything's kind of connected to this taxi somehow. We have our walrus taxi driver, Odokawa. He's kind of like a no bullshit guy. He says dry jokes, deadpan humor, and wants to avoid trouble. And then, yeah, he's like a 41-year-old boomer. And then, yeah, he drives people. We see like this evil orangutan, Dobu, who's like kind of like a gangster. We see this female alpaca nurse called Miho, and a gorilla doctor called Goriki. So yeah, our main dude Odokawa has having trouble sleeping. So yeah, he goes to the doctor for help. And then he seems to get along with the alpaca nurse. She's like a little younger, like maybe around her 20s, and then yeah, they just joke around a bit. We hear these two radio hosts from the Homo sapiens. It's like a radio talk show. And then it's a boar and a donkey. There's an idol group called Mystery Kiss filled with like these cat and sheep characters. They're trying to expand, and then it seems like the two supporting characters, they have to wear masks. So the main idol girl, Nikaido, she's like a little cute sheep girl, and she's like putting the other two idols down just to raise her status up. There's a skunk dude, Imai, who wants to get rich, so he buys a lot of lottery tickets. And then he's like supporting the idols as well. There's this dude, Kabasawa, he looks like a hippo, and then he just like goes on Twitter a lot, and he's just trying to get viral. So he has like a huge social media presence and just like tries to make like normie shit posts to gain internet clout. And then there's like a monkey character that's friends with Odokawa, and he's trying to get married, so he's just like on Tinder all the time. So yeah, as you can see, all these characters are going through their own problems, their own life, and they're all just like kind of normal human problems. So the fact that they're animals doesn't seem to play a part in the story. So the main story point follows Odokawa as he's driving, and then he also gets in trouble with the police and Dobu because they're all trying to find out this missing girl. She's like this missing cat, and it was last heard that she disappeared while inside of a taxi. So that's why Odokawa is being investigated. So yeah, apparently the missing cat is like the daughter of some rich dude, so that's the reason everyone's looking for her. Dobu has Odokawa's dash cam footage, so apparently like there's some evidence there, but yeah, he still seems to work with Odokawa. And then that alpaca girl, she seems to like Odokawa, even though they're like 20 years apart. But then he realizes that she's like been stealing pills from the doctor to pay off her debts, because she's like indebted to Dobu because she borrowed money from him, and there's like a bunch of interest. So she's like 3 million yen in debt. And then Odokawa kind of rejects her advances because he's like, I'm kind of a dangerous person, don't get involved with me. And I think the funniest thing that happened was in episode 4 probably, where we see this kind of cat guy, I think his name was Tanaka, and we get his whole story growing up. So his whole 20-minute episode was just to set up this random dude's backstory that we never heard of. So he was kind of competitive, where he wanted to kind of show off to people, but he was a bit casual about it. So, for example, in their elementary school class, like the thing of like having stylish erasers, they were competing over that. So yeah, Tanaka always had some cool erasers, but then there was this dude in his class that had even better erasers because his parents bought him from overseas. So then one day on a computer, he sees on like eBay that they're selling this super rare eraser for 3,000 yen. So like, yo, $30. So he was like, okay, if I get this, then I can show off to the class, and then the other dude will like be defeated. It's kind of unhealthy because it's like you're paying a lot of money for like these collector items that probably won't have value too much. He steals his dad's credit card to go on the auction. He bids the 3,000 yen, but then there's some other bidder that counterbids. So there's like counterbidding, and then he's just always one-upping him. So it's up to like maybe 4,000 or 5,000 yen right now. So that's around $50. So it's not that bad. But then Tanaka got kind of addicted. He got kind of hooked. So he's like, all right, this dude's always one-upping me. Let me put it up to 10,000 yen. But he actually put 100,000 yen. So he bought this super rare eraser for pretty much $1,000 when it was going for $30. And then the eraser never came, and then he never argued with the website since he was so young. So, like, you know, you could have easily called your credit card company or something, said you didn't get your product back and get refunded. But yeah, he didn't think to do that. So once his dad saw the credit card statement, he beat him up. And his life kind of like went downhill from there. It was just like he got taught a big lesson where, like, you know, whose fault is this? Is this God's fault? Is this my dad's fault? Is it my fault? Is it like the dude who had expensive erasers in my classroom's fault? So we see this dude, and this is a very important backstory for him because we see him as an adult now. He got hooked into this like gacha mobile game about like farming. So yeah, microtransactions galore. You just open loot boxes to collect rare animals. He wanted a rare dodo bird, but he could never get it. And he spent literally 5 million yen on this game. So I think that's around $50,000 again. I'm just like dividing by 100. But hey, we've all probably been there. Just like there's like a rare item or something we want to get. And then it takes a lot of effort and grinding to get there. Or real life money if you're this guy. So then he finally unlocks the rare dodo bird while he's walking on the street one day. But then Otokawa's taxi kind of clips him. So then he dodges it. But then he drops his phone into the sewers once he gets the rare bird. So then his phone kind of breaks. But then he goes to the store, they restore the backup data. But once he opens the game, the dodo bird is gone. So this is kind of interesting because I thought loot box mechanics and stuff were all done on the server side. So you can't really manipulate it on your side. So the fact that his phone crashed, it should have still been saved to his account. So I thought that was kind of immersion breaking. But besides that, the whole episode was so funny, showing just like a mundane backstory of this guy's life and then how it links to the future. Because this dude is actually like hunting down Otokawa now. He's like, they got these crazy murder eyes. He finds Dobu's gun somewhere. And then he's like basically chasing Otokawa to murder him. And Otokawa has no idea why. So yeah, pretty funny, interesting story. Like the storytelling is immaculate. You know, it's just like kind of reminds me of like normal comedy drama stories like BoJack Horseman mixed with like Pulp Fiction where we see like just like snippets of people's lives and how they kind of link up to each other in the story. So yeah, that first half of this anime was just like so nice. It kind of still leaves us with more questions on like how all these people are going to interact. There's like that mystery kiss idol group. There's like that dude that's trying to kill Otokawa. There's like that missing cat girl that was also there. I'm like very eager to learn more about it just because like each episode the storytelling just hooks you on so much. Like the way people talk, their dialogue, it's just like very realistic and mundane, which makes the show like even better since they're also dropping hints where like maybe Otokawa sees people as animals and then they're actually like real people. Just like Otokawa has like something troubling his brain. So it's like animal people doing just like mundane things. So yeah, this is always fun. Okay, so for To Your Eternity, episode 5. Goddamn, I kind of cried this episode. Such a great episode. I already knew kind of what to expect in this anime just because the manga was so hyped up. Yeah, just like great storytelling, great characters, and then they tie up each story just like with some huge emotional twist. So yeah, here we go. Perona's out here. She rescued Fushi and March, and then they run away from the jail. And then Perona's actually going to cut off like a bit of Oniguma's fur to kind of show people that like he was killed, so then their village doesn't do these rituals anymore. And then March kind of stops her. She's like, hey, don't hurt Oniguma. Like, he's dead, but then, like, don't cut him. So yeah, March is, like, very innocent. So yeah, Perona kind of agrees with her. I kind of give her credit for, like, dealing with March so well. Like, they're such a cool duo where Perona's so badass and then March is so, like, emotional and fun to deal with. So yeah, they escape the jail. They're on some, like, horse-driven cart. But then they're getting chased by Hayase and everyone else. They're shooting arrows at the cart, and then the cart goes on fire. So then Perona's out there trying to deflect the arrows. Like, Perona is so badass here. Like, goddamn, I did not expect this woman to be so cool. So yeah, Perona's out here. She has a shield. She's tanking arrows and fighting. But then March sees this, and she's like, oh, I gotta help my big sister Perona. So then I'm like, yo, come on, March. It's not that serious. But then, yeah, she pushes Perona away because Perona's gonna get hit by an arrow. And then March tanks the arrow for her. It hits her on the side of her hip. But yeah, goddamn. March got hurt pretty badly. Fushi sees this, and he transforms into the big bear. So yeah, Fushi transformed into that big Oniguma spirit, just rampaging through the city, while everything's wrecked. And then Perona's trying to heal March, because she got stabbed by an arrow. The thing is, it didn't hit any of her vital organs. There's like a big wound on her side. So yeah, even though it was like an arrow that pierced her, I guess they pulled it out or whatever. So yeah, she's just bleeding out. And yeah, she died. Yo, come on, how are you gonna kill March over here? It was so sad. Like, she was just trying to do her best and help, but I thought this whole kind of arc revolved around her, like trying to like be grown up and stuff. But yeah, they kind of showed you that to do the opposite, just kill her, while Perona's like the one being the hero. So yeah, Perona's so sad. They showed how like they were a family, Perona and March. Like Perona had another girl that died on her, so like March also died on her. So yeah, Perona's just like so emotionally wrecked. You know, they were a family, they played house, they gave food for each other, stuffed animals. And we saw this, they were so cute together, and then just like, goddamn, March never got to grow up. So then yeah, Perona takes March's dead body, goes to Fushi, tells him, yo, chill, stop rampaging throughout the city. So yeah, Fushi stops, he turns into the dog now. And we kind of see a grown up version of March, just like kind of her in the afterlife. Like, I hate when anime does this. Like, they show you a character that's dead, and then they show what could have been by showing them, like, their grown up version. So yeah, we saw adult March. She was, like, taking care of people, starting a family. So yeah, seeing this grown up March was just so emotional, because, like, right after that, Perona tried to kill herself. She was about to stab her neck straight up. And then she almost did it. But then March was like, yo, Fushi, stop her. So then, yeah, the Immortal, he can probably see dead people while they're, like, changing. So I guess he kind of absorbed March while she was dead, too. So he has March's personality and emotions inside of him right now, I guess. And then, yeah, he stops Perona from killing herself, which is, like, yo, so tight. Just, like, I wasn't prepared for both of these girls to die. So, yeah, Fushi stops her. And then we see him, like, with the inherited March's personality. So, yeah, this whole ending sequence was so exciting. We saw like they were prisoners for 6 months. They finally did this escape plan, and now Perona goes back to their old village. So she sees March's family, and then she shows everyone that like Fushi, they killed the Oniguma spirits, so they don't need to do sacrifices anymore. And then they show the handprint letter that March gave them. Perona kind of tells us, your life isn't given to you. You have to fight for it yourself. Also, we see Hayase is still alive, so she's still trying to capture the Immortal. She's like pretty fucked up, pretty burnt in the face, but she's trying to capture the Immortal. But then Perona comes through, she's trying to shoot Hayase, because I guess they might attack their village next. But then she misses the arrow and she shoots her in the hand instead. And then yeah, we end the episode there. Fushi leaves the village. He's probably gonna go somewhere else, but this whole arc with March, Perona, all these village people, and then Hayase, just so emotionally strong. Like, I just can't handle it. I guess the next arc will also wreck us. I'm just like excited to see where the anime goes. But yeah, so far we're just collecting dead people's dreams and traveling. First we had the white-haired boy from the Iceland, and now we have March, who avoided sacrifice, and she was just like a good girl trying to grow up. Okay, so for Vivy, Fluorite Eye Song, Episode 8. Cool episode, we continue the AI suicide plotline where Othelia, we're trying to save her. Also some corrections on the last episode. I think I said there was a 40-year time skip between the Metal Float Island and this episode, but I think it's more of like a 25-year time skip. And then the reason Vivy like got rebooted was because in the Metal Float Island, when the two people died, the married couple, she couldn't cope with like all this death, so yeah, that's why like, she had to get rebooted. So Vivy's hanging out with Matsumoto, and we also see like Othelia had an AI helper, like a support AI, called Antonio, but apparently he died 5 years ago. So Othelia's kind of sad about that, because when she committed suicide, people were like talking about, yo, do AIs have hearts and souls? And then more AIs were kind of following her, so when she committed suicide, more AIs like followed through with suicide. So it kind of like made people confused, like, damn, do these AIs have more life in them? So yeah, Vivy wants to talk to Othelia about this, because it's like, she thinks that stopping Othelia from committing suicide, that's not enough. We have to actually like get the root of the problem, why she's so sad. So yeah, she talks about like her mission, trying to make everyone happy through her singing, but like she still doesn't have that big of an audience. And then she thinks this is all for nothing. Like the fact that her support partner Antonio can't like share her dreams. So yeah, Vivy's like, yo, this is obvious. Like, I know how to solve it. Because it's like they're in love, Othelia and Antonio. And once Antonio died, it's like she lost that partner she had. So everything seems good as the Zodiac Signs Festival is going on. People are singing and hanging out. Nothing bad seems to happen yet. But then Vivy sees something suspicious. She sees the scientist dude who like she was following before. So yeah, apparently she thinks that he has something to do with this AI suicide, so she's like chasing him. And then he captures her, and then he shoots her. So yeah, Vivy's captured. Apparently the scientist, his name was Kakitani, and I think he might be the dude from the future that's at Matsumoto in the past. So yeah, we don't really know too much about him, but he seems to be very involved with like the AI stuff. And then since Vivy is captured, Matsumoto comes out to stop Othelia. So yeah, Matsumoto's trying to talk to Othelia, talking about how like, oh, you don't have to kill yourself. But then the thing is, this isn't Ophelia anymore. It's Antonio. He possessed Ophelia's body. We don't know for how long, but goddamn. That was pretty interesting. I guess since they can't share their dream together, Antonio sees that everything's failing. He decides to commit suicide in Ophelia's body. So yeah, that was a big twist there. And then we end the episode there. So no action confrontation happening yet, but like there might be a fight next episode. Okay, so for Tokyo Revengers episode 6, another exciting episode, as just like Takamichi's trying to stop Ken from dying. So we start off this episode with Ken's backstory, which was pretty cool. So he doesn't know his dad, and his mom was a prostitute. So he just grew up in this brothel, and then basically his dad left him, and his mom left when he was 2. So my man's just like chilling, elementary school shit. But yeah, he's like kind of a delinquent gangster type of guy. He got tatted in 5th grade, so just like the side of his head, he got that dragon tattoo. So yeah, pretty funny to see like young Ken. The middle school gangs that like are running the places, they like, kind of control him, so he can't really beat people up that much. So then one day, one of the middle school gang leaders, they order him to find Mikey, because they heard like, oh, there's this elementary school kid that's just like beating people up. So yeah, Ken finds Mikey, and then Mikey like acts kind of weird. It's like, oh, you wanted to see me? What's up? And then Ken's like, oh, this gang wants me to bring you to him. So yeah, that was a middle school gang, and Mikey's like in elementary school. So then Ken thinks that Mikey's gonna get beaten up. So they go to the gang. Mikey just drop kicks the middle school gang leader, and just like, he makes his presence known. He's like a tough dude. These dudes are so young, like elementary school and middle school. But we can see how like kind of the gang life started over here. So yeah, Mikey was always tough like that. Whenever people wanted a confrontation with him, he was always down. So yeah, after this backstory on how Draken and Mikey became friends, we go back into the present time because Takamichi wanted to do more research on the Mobius gang. So he's with Naoto, and then they meet this dude Osanai, who is the leader of the Mobius gang, but this is him like 12 years in the future. So he's kind of like a poor dude. He looks kind of like a homeless construction worker type of guy, just like very messy, and his life is probably like pretty shitty from when he was a gang leader. So yeah, his glory days are gone. So it's kind of crazy to see like the savage gang leader is now like this normal working adult. So Takamichi and Naoto go in a restaurant with him and try to ask him questions like what happened that day when they fought on August 3rd, like how did Ken die? And apparently Ken, his death had nothing to do with the Mobius gang. And then kind of like this third party manipulated everyone. So just to make it so Draken died. So Draken's death is part of like this big kind of conspiracy plot. And the Mobius gang wasn't really involved in it too much. They were just like a piece of the puzzle. So I'm thinking that evil dude with the glasses, who was like the leader of the Manji gang in the present time, maybe he's like pulling all the strings in the back. But yeah, the fact that Takamichi hears this means he has to stop them from fighting in the first place, because their fight leads to a conflict between Ken and Mikey. So yeah, straight up we're learning more things about Draken's death. It wasn't really that black and white. There's actually like kind of a conspiracy behind it. So then once he's in the past, he's hanging out with his friend Akun. And he's kind of emotional because he saw Akun commit suicide in the present. But then now he's with them. So he asks Akun, yo, what are your dreams? And Akun's like, yo, that's kind of random, but I always wanted to be a hairstylist. And then Takamichi kind of like encourages him. He's like, okay, I'll be your first customer. So I thought that was pretty nice and wholesome. So after that, Takamichi hangs out with the Manji gang. It's him, Mikey, Draken, and the 2 other guys that wanted to fight with Mobius. But then Takamichi tells them to stop because it's like he has insider information. He knows once this fight happens, it's like a whole conspiracy and Draken is just gonna die. But the thing is, he can't really explain himself because he can't say he's from the future. And, Mikey and the whole gang, they don't want to back down. Like Mikey says, he's not going to back down from a fight. But then Ken realizes that Takamichi, he's like believing so hard in this, he's actually getting punched in the face by the other 2 dudes. That Draken tells Mikey, hey, it might be a smart idea to like not fight them straight up. Maybe we get some information first, see like if this is an inside job or anything. But we can see the internal conflict starting right now. Like, you can't argue with Mikey. Once he's made up his mind, like, it probably won't change. But then another wedge in Takamichi's plan occurs because Osanai comes in. They're having a 5-people meeting. Osanai comes to ambush him with the Mobius gang. It's just them 20 versus 4. They're straight up like 2 years older than them. They got baseball bats and shit. They're just like surrounded their warehouse. So straight up, this is a tense situation. Takamichi wants to stop the fighting in the first place, but the fact that they came here, there doesn't seem to be any escape. And I wonder how tough Mikey and Draken can be to survive this fight 20 versus 4. But yeah, very fun episode. Just like you learn more about the story. There's like some conspiracy happening behind the scenes because maybe Takamichi got a plan going on to stop this. Okay, so for I Shaved and Picked Up a High School Girl, episode 2 to 6. So I was continuing on this romance story. It's like stuff we've already kind of seen before, but they don't really do anything new besides spicing it up because the main girl has some problems of her own, running away from home and everything, and she's living with this older dude. But yeah, besides that, just like typical developments, we see her like having self-confidence issues. She sees the older dude Yoshida's like caring for her. She kind of like falls in love with him. She's thinking like, oh, she's not doing anything for Yoshida, so why is he taking care of him? Why doesn't he want to sleep with me? And then Yoshida's like, hey, you're doing enough. You're like taking care of the house, you're cooking and everything, so that's all you have to do. Like, I'm not gonna kick you out or anything. You don't have to do more. So yeah, Sayu and Yoshida are just like kind of developing their relationship. Like Sayu, we see like she's always like self-conscious and everything. She has her fake smile that she puts on. He like buys her a cell phone and everything. So yeah, that's cool. And then yeah, other stuff happens in the story where we see Goto, the manager. She's actually in love with Yoshida as well. So she rejected him for some reason. We don't know why. She kind of like regrets it. And then she realizes that Yoshida's living with the high school girl. So she goes and sees her. And then apparently they're all friends. So yeah, apparently everyone knows Yoshida's secret. So that's kind of, he has to watch out for that. After that, there's this junior programmer that works with Yoshida, who's always making mistakes, called Mishima. So yeah, Yoshida and Mishima, they kind of like hang out sometimes after work. And then she actually admits her feelings to Yoshida one day while they were watching a movie. And then Yoshida kind of like turns her down because he has to take care of Sayu and stuff. And then she realizes that he's living with this high school girl. They kind of talk, and then they realize that they're both in love with Yoshida. So yeah, all these girls are after Yoshida. It's basically like the typical romance anime plotline where, you know, we already know the winner. Like, it's the whole title is named after her, so Sayu's gonna win. And then all these other girls are just like kind of competing for him. But, you know, they're just like random side characters that we don't really care about. So yeah, the most recent episode, Sayu's like working somewhere at this convenience store with her friend Yuki. And then the thing is, like, there's a coworker in the convenience store that had sex with Sayu. So yeah, very convenient, very random. But then Sayu's like all sad that like her past is kind of like coming up to haunt her. He kind of talks to Sayu at their house, and then Sayu can't really say no to him or anything. She's just like so traumatized. But then Yoshida comes to save the day. Yeah, Sayu doesn't want to give Yoshida any trouble, but then Yoshida solves all of this. Like, he realizes what's happening, so he kind of yells at the dude and tells her, like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of her and stuff. You should leave. Yuki kind of forces that guy to, like, leave Sayu alone. And then, yeah, he apologizes, so apparently they're friends now. So, yeah, I guess that's interesting. I guess they're kind of building up upon her story, why she ran away and everything, so yeah, I guess that's the main hook, the development between Sayu and Yoshida. But yeah, overall, just like really generic romance. I'm not really feeling too much emotion from it. And I don't really like most of the characters, so I'd actually prefer watching the train wreck romance anime, where it's like the romantic comedy where the childhood friend will never lose. So yeah, they made it so the childhood friend won't lose because all the characters are the childhood friends. So yeah, that's like kind of like a parody comedy anime. And it's not even funny either, but just like it's such a train wreck that I actually prefer that romance story over this romance story. So yeah, there's 2 new romance animes you can watch this season, and they're both pretty mid in their own ways. Okay, so for Shadow's House episode 6, another great episode. I'm really loving this anime, how it's turning out, just like cute shadows and just like the spookiness, and the dolls kind of like fighting for their lives. So yeah, the dolls are separated from their shadow masters, and they're just chilling in the party room. But then they're talking about like the ranking system and everything, why people are going up and down. And it's because of like Edward. He just feels whoever he hates or likes, they're just gonna fail or pass. So yeah, the game was kind of rigged from the start. So Namilko keeps eating these cookies. She's like hanging out with everyone and stuff too. But then she sees like this rock in the cookie, which is kind of like this stone key. So then she realizes that it's part of like a message. So then her and Sean decide like the food, like maybe that's where the next step of our test is. So they all keep stuffing their face on these cakes and chocolates and cookies. And they finally find 5 of these stones that when they put together make a key that opens the garden door. So they realize this is the next step of their test. It's not them to just sit in the party room. They actually have to like go out and have initiative and like find their masters. So yeah, they go to the garden where they find Edward, and he's like, okay, good job, you passed the first part of the test. We see that Edward also kind of hates Kate, who's Emiliko's master. He's trying to conspire against her, saying she must be brought down. So I'm assuming Kate is maybe important, like she has some ties to like the family, where people kind of hate her maybe for her status. But I kind of never got that air from Kate, because she was like kind of a quiet, nice type of girl. But then after that we get the next part of this test. It's some Harry Potter tri-wizard shit, because they have to find their master hidden somewhere in the maze. Everyone has to kind of go through this maze, look for their doll master, and then escape in 2 hours. So I thought this was a very interesting addition to the show, just like random action adventure type of mission. So yeah, they all get to have like a weapon or an object to take before they enter the maze. And Miliko takes this big wagon, and then some other people take like these clippers, some people take a suit. But yeah, the dolls are basically going around the maze, and then they actually have some team ups. So Miliko meets up with Rum. So then Miliko's getting tired from pushing the cart up so much, and then Rum tries to help her. So yeah, we can see that Rum is like kind of opening up a bit, and then we can see that there are like traps and holes in the maze as well. So there's like a bunch of stuff that like might hinder their progress. We see Lou teaming up with Ricky. So Lou has like these shears that she uses to cut shortcuts through the maze. And then we also see the shadow John. So yeah, he escapes, which was pretty interesting, seeing like the shadows, they can actually escape from their prison. And then he meets up with Kate, who's in like this cage. So Kate was thinking to use her soot to escape the cage, but then she wasn't sure if that was illegal or not. But apparently like these shadows can control soot, that's part of their powers. So then yeah, after everyone's still in the maze, we kind of see like the shadows of the house, like the heads of the house. They're kind of observing them. So like they're using like this whole test as entertainment. We still don't know the full story yet, but like the mystery, horror, slice of life elements in this episode was like pretty great. And it's saying how all the dolls had to like kind of team up with each other to make it throughout this maze. And yeah, I was not expecting some Harry Potter Tri-Wizard Tournament shit going on in this anime. Okay, so for 86, episode 6, we kind of see 5 years ago how Shin, he was in some snowy apocalyptic environment where all like the buildings were kind of like destroyed. He finds his brother without his head. So yeah, 5 years ago, Shin's brother died, and then I guess like the legions took his head and they're like kind of using him as a shepherd. So right now we're in the present time, but 6 months in the past, where we see like a bunch of the 86ers hanging out, having a picnic with the other units. So yeah, just like fun, interactive picnic, everyone celebrating and just like, you know, enjoying their life while they can. Because, you know, 4 months later now, a bunch of them have just died. Like we see all these people, Kaye, and some other people that we don't even see anymore. And then in this episode, it was kind of like sad because we saw 2 more people die. Burnt Tail and Black Dog, who was this blonde guy Daya, and then this black-haired girl Lekka. Just like they got kind of ambushed, and then the girl committed suicide before she died, like she shot her brain. But then Black Dog didn't die, so yeah, Shin killed him for everyone. Everyone's kind of holding that emotion in because it's just like, yeah, so tragic. So after that, it's Lena's birthday, so she eats some cake. She talks with her researcher friend about like what happens when your brain merges with the pararate if you use it too much. And then her researcher friend kind of like tries to warn her not to use it too much, so she kind of scares her by saying, she said if your brain merges with the pararate, then we got to kind of do experiments on you and like move the chip from your brain. So yeah, that was kind of shocking. And they also said they're going to do some experiments with Shin, the Undertaker, because they realized that his brain, like he can hear the Legion talking, so they might dissect him too. So after that, Lena asks the general to provide more support with mortars, but then he refuses. Like, Lena's like, oh, if we provide support from them from afar, then it's like easier for them to fight. I think the 86ers know the reason why they're not giving help, because like the mortars don't work. So this whole empire, just like stuff is kind of like, they have like either outdated technology or like not enough resources, maybe. So yeah, the general gives Lena a new mission, where even though 2 of the 86ers die, they only have like maybe 16 people left. We can see that everyone's kind of emotionally wrecked. It's interesting to see where the story will go as like all these casualties pile up. We can also see Lena holding like this moldy chocolate that she got from Shin's brother Roy. I think that chocolate's probably like over 10 years old, so yeah, that's cool. So yeah, she must really like care about him, and then the fact that he's died, it kind of like motivates her more to like stop this whole war. Okay, so for Joran, the Princess of Snow and Blood, episode 7, kind of a crazy episode. I don't even know what this anime is doing anymore, but I guess it's kind of hype. It's just kind of wacky, off the rails, crazy, but it's like committing to it. So like the story and setting are still pretty good. So yeah, Asahi and Yuki settle in the cat temple. They finally have a new home where they can live their life free, hang out with people, and just be nice and not killers anymore. Makoto's trying to overthrow the current regime. She's looking for treasure or something. So yeah, Makoto was doing her own thing on the side. We can also see Jin also tracking down Makoto. So yeah, Jin sees Makoto and forces her to tell him the location of Yuki. So yeah, even though Yuki faked her death, everyone still knows she's alive. We also hear about like there's this magic energy, like it's called Ryumaki, and it kind of powers everything in the industrial era that they're having. So There's like this magical coal that people are like fighting resource wars over. So then we see Makoto, she's dying. So yeah, something like happened to her. I think she's like drugging up her body and shit. And then she reveals her intentions where she visits Yuki, living her peaceful life. And she's like, I want you to be an assassin again. You lost your competitive fire. So yeah, Makoto was apparently like looking up to Yuki. So that was kind of another random swerve. Why would Makoto save these guys? Like have a whole plot for them to fake their death? When in the end he's just like, he wants Yuki to be an assassin again. I guess like Makoto's motivations don't make too much sense at all. But yeah, he kills a teacher that Yuki was hanging out with. And then he takes like this blue blood medicine. So he transforms into like this blue fox monster. Similar to Yuki's transformation. And then she tells Yuki there's more to her revenge than killing Janome. But yeah, to motivate Yuki, he does some wild shit where he kills Asahi. So yeah, that's what we're doing now. We're murdering kids. But yeah, this episode was kind of crazy. I don't know what's happening, but the action's cool, I guess. And it doesn't look like Asahi is dead. This kind of looks like kind of an act, so I'm kind of curious what's going to happen. I feel like this is all a swerve, and maybe Yuki's going to join everyone again, but it doesn't seem like Asahi's dead. So yeah, everyone has some random ass motivations out here. Okay, so for Fruits Basket, the final, episode 6, we kind of see the short-haired girl Isuzu living with the people in the house. She's hanging out with Toru and everyone else. But then we get a kind of a big plot point where the Zodiac curse, it's breaking on its own. So yeah, this is told to us by Shigure. He basically tells Toru and Rin that the curse breaks on its own. So it's kind of anticlimactic. So this is kind of the last banquet they have where all the people that are currently Zodiac spirits at the same time, they're all like slowly gonna break their curse. Toru hears this while Rin is also hearing this. And then she's kind of like emotional because this is not what she wants. They have to break the curse by next spring or else Kyo will lose his bet. And then he has to become Akito's prisoner for life. So yeah, it was slowly breaking, but now it's like, it's obvious now. There's like a good amount of people that don't have Zodiac powers anymore. So yeah, Toru wants to do this because she has feelings for Kyo. We see that like she has feelings for her mom first. She doesn't want her mom's memory to disappear, so she's always putting her first in her heart. But now she realizes that she has like stronger feelings for Kyo. She's like kind of in love with Kyo, I guess. So yeah, that girl Kagura, who had feelings for Kyo as well, she slaps Toru. So yeah, we also see Toru's mom in this episode, kind of like a flashback of her family life after her dad died. So her mom was Kyoko, which is kind of similar to Kyo. Like Kyo and Kyoko have same names and orange hair. So yeah, what a coincidence there. But then yeah, Toru, we realized that her nice personality, her just being polite all the time, it's not really her. It's kind of like a fake personality that she did to copy her dad. She was kind of sad. She felt like she was drifting away from her mom. People were talking shit because she didn't look like her dad, so they're just like spreading rumors about her. So she wanted to copy her dad to be closer to her mom. But that was kind of weird. Like, it's some weird ass roleplay where her speaking polite is canon because her mom doesn't forget about her. So her mom realizes that Toru's doing this. Anyway, her and Kyo, they kind of tell each other about this, so they hug. So that was nice. They embrace and get closer. But then, huge big plot twist coming on. Apparently Kyo was the one that killed Toru's mom. So maybe he transformed into a cat spirit one day and went berserk and murdered her. But if that was true, that's a huge bombshell because Toru and Kyo like each other. And then, it was salvageable. He was like a normal, cool guy. But the fact that he murdered Toru's mom, that's kind of yikes how, like, they'll settle that. Okay, so for I Killed Slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Episode 6. So yeah, another fun episode where our girl Azusa, she gets to visit the demon world to get this humanitarian award for peace. So yeah, we have to travel to a new land, the demon world. But then the ghost Rosalie, she can't change her dress. They wanted her to wear a new dress, but then she's a ghost. So, she can't change her clothes. Like, she's like a memory. This is how she was when she died. So then Azusa does some magic to kind of make Rosalie envision this dress. And then, like, kind of merge her body with the dress. So it's like she's envisioning wearing it. She uses some magic to kind of imbue the dress in her. And yeah, Azusa makes it so she can change Rosalie's clothing. So yeah, that was nice. We see Rosalie can finally fit in with everyone, like change clothes, and finally go to this new award ceremony with everyone. So after that, they ride this giant Leviathan, and there's also a waifu Leviathan inside of there as well. So yeah, these waifu animal transformations, they're kind of everywhere. So yeah, they're inside this flying Leviathan. There's like a hot springs and lots of like expensive food as they go inside the demon world. And this is like a nice wholesome demon world now, where like the demon lord is a nice person. all the demons are cool people. They're not like fighting humanity. So then, yeah, they go meet the demon lord. Apparently, she's like this little loli demon lord. So they kind of confuse her. They don't think she's the actual demon lord. So then Halkara realizes her mistake, so she goes and begs and says, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then demon lord is all good. She appreciates Halkara's jokes and then tells Halkara to lift her head from bowing. So yeah, Halkara was bowing because she disrespected the demon lord, but then demon lord forgives her. So she raises her head and she knocks the demon lord out with her head. So yeah, their heads collide. Halkara hits the demon lord in the chin, and now she's gonna get executed for disrespecting the demon lord. So I wonder how they're gonna resolve this next episode, because goddamn, this was kind of unexpected. Okay, so for Ijiranaide, Nagatoro-san, episode 6, we start off with the senpai using his imagination, and he's putting everyone in this Dragon Quest RPG type of world. And his party is with Nagatoro and the 2 blonde girls that tease him. So yeah, they're going to kill all these things to go see the demon lord. They go to the demon lord's castle, and his party members turn out to be the demon lord instead. And then they tease the senpai, and then yeah, his dream turned into a nightmare, as they all have kind of like sexy demon lord outfits. And then he wakes up from this imagination. So we can see that he's trying to make up like a manga story out of this. Like, he's drawing Nagatoro as like this cat girl fighter. So yeah, that was a pretty fun first half of the episode. It was just like a whole RPG type of world, with the senpai just like hanging out with his whole cast of girls. After that, they all go to the beach together, the senpai and the 3 girls. There's like a whole swimsuit fan service section. And then they're all kind of stepping on him with sunscreen. So yeah, all 3 girls are just stepping on the senpai. So very funny teasing. And then yeah, the senpai's drawings are going well. He draws Nagatoro at the beach. So yeah, I guess cool fan service episode we had this week.